Okay, all right. It is 7:30 here in Tokyo, Japan, so we will begin the seminar. Thank you for coming. I see quite a lot of people came here on campus. Welcome. I see some familiar faces and new faces. I overheard you're a part of the incoming full-time program, so welcome. All right, welcome to our seminar tonight on decoding AI. And let me introduce myself very briefly. I'm GLOBIS staff here, and I work on overseas business development. My name is GAiMEri. I'm also a graduate of our part-time online MBA program. So I graduated last year, and I often MC for seminars here. All right, so tonight I'm gonna have a very short intro talking a little bit about GLOBIS, and then we're gonna get into the seminar, panel discussion, and Q&A. And then we're going to have closing and networking both on-site and online. Okay, all right. Do you just want an MBA, or do you also want to make an impact? The person who first asked this is Yoshito Hori, our CEO and founder, our president and founder. He said that our mission is to support entrepreneurs to make an impact on society through an ecosystem of people, capital, and knowledge. So we started off very small in 1992 at just a rented office in Shibuya, teaching one class. That's actually Yoshito Hori teaching the class himself. But today we've become Japan's #1 MBA, and we welcome 40% of all grad students in business or management of technology programs here in Japan. And we have offices and hub campuses all over the world, and our alumni come from a variety of different countries. There you can see the top 10 countries they come from. We're not just the university. We have an ecosystem here at GLOBIS. So we have over 12,000 students and alumni from 87 different countries, 12 locations in 6 different countries, and over 150 corporate partners. So this all together makes up the GLOBIS ecosystem. So earlier, people, we've taught over 1 million professionals, and we have an e-learning platform for business. For knowledge, we have GLOBIS Insights, and we also publish business management related books. Almost 4 million books published, sold at this point. And we also have a G1 Global Conference for business and leadership. And for capital, we have one of the finest venture capital firms here in Japan, and it's raised over $1 billion for investment into startups. All right, we're going to begin our seminar shortly. So our requests is to write your Zoom name in English, turn on your video if you can, be active later in asking questions to our speakers, and please do not record, copy, or redistribute our GLOBIS slides. And I'll introduce our seminar speakers. Our first speaker tonight is Kelvin Song. He's GLOBIS faculty for Technovate in AI courses, and he's also program director for our English MBA program here at GLOBIS University. And we have another speaker, Chris Kroll. He's a product manager for AI research and implementation. All right, without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Kelvin. Welcome, Kelvin.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, GAiMEri, for the introduction. It's really nice to be here. How many people do we have online? 40, all right? Oh, nice. See online people as well. So my name is Kelvin. As GAiMEri introduced, I'm the program director, and also I'm a lecturer teaching AI-related courses. So today's topic is going to be about the historical perspectives and industry impact of AI, and we're also going to talk about the education innovation of at GLOBIS, which will be covered by my colleague Chris. So I will focus mainly on the first part, and we'll spend some time on the second part with Chris. So I'm going to break my presentation into 3 parts. I'm going to talk about history of AI, and then implications of business, and also cover a little bit about the next frontier of AI. So let's go back the memory lane, looking back into the history of AI. I think there are many different theories on how AI actually got started, but many people would probably attribute it to this person, Alan Turing. He was the one who proposed the imitation game, often known as the Turing test, in which you ask a series of questions to a human and a computer without knowing which is which. And at the end of it, if you cannot differentiate which is the computer and which is the human, then it is said that the computer has passed the test. Right? So basically, that was the thing that he proposed. And then the term AI was actually formally coined in 1956 at the Dartmouth workshop, organized by a number of researchers, including John McCarthy and also Marvin Minsky. And then shortly after that, Frank Rosenblatt introduced the perceptron. Perceptron is the early version of what is known as deep learning nowadays. It looks something like this. So it laid the groundwork for the breakthrough that we have these days. So when this happened in 1956, 1957, there was a lot of excitement, a lot of hype coming into the AI industry. Until 1973, when a report commissioned by the UK government, written by Sir James Lighthill, he criticized the potential of AI technologies those days, and that led to a halt in funding in AI research. And US also did similar thing. And because of that, it actually triggered the first AI winter. So AI research went drastically down. There was a halt and a lot of cut in funding. And it took almost a decade for the excitement of AI to recover, when in the 1980s, people realized that if you can implement a set of rules that is defined by human experts and give it to the computers, you can actually get computers to perform as well as human experts. So that was the rise of expert systems, and it saw a lot of applications in those days. Things like, you can use computers to identify infectious bacteria, for example. And there was a lot of applications, a lot of commercial success in using expert systems in workflows and stuff like that in automations. But, yeah, so this is one of the expert systems. But shortly after that, 7 years, in 1987, the market collapsed because we realized the limitations in expert systems. Expert systems were written in a series of rules, if-else statements. And expert systems are not good at handling infinite conditions like chatbots. There are so many different ways that humans can reply to a chatbot, right? So there are so many different ways so many different variations, so infinite variations. So in this case, expert systems are not good at it. So people started to realize that, and then the market collapsed, and then we reached the AI winter number 2. And finally, in 1997, we saw another political moment in chess when IBM Deep Blue defeated the world chess champion Garry Kasparov, who was widely regarded as the greatest player of all time at the time, until these days we have Magnus Carlsen. I used to play a lot of chess, so Garry Kasparov was my hero. So when this thing happened, I was really devastated at the time. So I think we can see a few things from this history. The first thing is that right from the beginning of computers, people were already trying to imagine a world in which computers would perform at human level when it comes to intelligence. We could use computers to perform tasks that has the intelligence indistinguishable from human beings. And then when there are glimpses of this happening, of this success, hypes come up, and then excitement actually eventually die down, and we have winters. And oftentimes, when we see this, we fail to see beyond the winter. We do not know what would come next. And then, out of a sudden, things like chess, which was thought to be impossible, became possible suddenly. And this kind of phenomena was actually known as the Amara's law, which states that we humans, we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. I think we can see it quite clearly from this series of ups and downs when it comes to AI. And I personally experienced this effect. I started studying artificial neural networks in 2006, quite a long time ago. But the funny thing was that when I stepped into the class for the first day, my professor told the entire class, he said, you know what? Maybe you guys are in the wrong place, because maybe neural networks are not the way to go to develop AI. So I was like, what? Am I in the wrong class? But I continued taking the classes. I ended up getting an A, but after I finished the class, I sort of stopped getting into machine learning. So I focused my career as a traditional computer engineer, computer programmer, and I did, this traditional type of application programming. But what happened was 6 years later, Geoffrey Hinton and his team proved that artificial neural network was not dead. It was alive, and it's actually sparked the modern AI boom, and Geoffrey Hinton actually got awarded the Nobel Prize just last year. And after that, there were a few key moments in AI in which many of you might know this, but AlphaGo actually defeated the world champion in the game of Go, Lee Sedol. And it was a landmark moment because Go is the most complicated game in the world. The number of variations that you can play in the game is more than the number of atoms in the entire universe. This is how complicated it is. So people used to think that computers will never be able to defeat humans in a game of Go because you need human intuition. But obviously, this moment changed everything. And then in 2020, you got AlphaFold, and the team behind it also won the Nobel Prize in chemistry last year. And finally, as all of us know, we got ChatGPT. So I think we can see that we really tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. So by looking at this, you might be asking, well, everybody's talking about AI right now. Are we at the peak of a hype? Are we at the peak of a hype? Well, if you ask me, I think maybe we are. We are. We are spending so much money in AI investments. Everybody's talking about AI, and SoftBank just promised Song Sang from SoftBank. He just promised Donald Trump that he would invest $500 billion in the next 5 years to AI infrastructure in the US. So tell me that this is not a hype. So much money is being spent. And the funny thing is that we still do not know how to make money out of AI. So there's a lot of investments, but there's no plan for the return. But if you ask me, so if we are in the peak of a hype, are we going to fall into another winter? That one I don't know. Maybe not. Because I don't see people stop using AI. Everybody's using ChatGPT nowadays. I just cannot imagine people stop using ChatGPT. Right? I think AI is going to stay. So that's why even though we are at a peak, my message to you is I think we have to be careful on how we invest in AI, but at the same time, we should not stop using AI because I think it is there to stay. But on the other hand, some people are saying that, well, I don't believe that AGI is going to come. Well, looking at the history of events, I would never say never. I would never say never because, those things that we thought was impossible, in the end became possible. So, is AGI going to come? I would never say no. Probably, right? But if you ask me when it's going to come, well, I cannot tell you a direct answer. Right, so based on this, what is the implications of business? I always challenge my students in class this question. I tell them that, well, everybody is using AI. AI is accessible by everyone, not just you, but by also your competitors, right? So the key is, how can you gain an edge over your competitors in business? Right? I don't need you to tell me, but take 10, 20 seconds to think about this question for a moment by yourself. Everybody's using AI, so how can you gain an edge over your competitors in business? Because I think this is a very, very important question to ask us. All right, think about this yourself. Now, I would like to look at this question from two different perspectives, as an individual and as a business entity. So, as an individual, I think first we have to understand how AI, especially text generative models, large language models, they actually work. So, as miraculous as it seems, generative AI for text, large language models, or LLMs, they are basically an autocomplete technology. Right, so they will take a chunk of words as inputs, and they will simply predict what the next word is, and give that as answer to your question. Right, so it will simply predict what the next word is. So take a GLOBIS class, something, maybe they will output online or in person to you. And the way to do it, the AI can do this is because it learned the linguistic patterns of from a large chunks of collections on the internet. So it will be able to create a model that can predict statistically what the next word should be. So this is basically how AI or large language models work. So if you look at this, then you know that if you give anything that is general to the internet, you get a general answer. But if you give something that is more specific, you can actually give a specific answer because everything works in probability. And this is basically conditional probability. So depending on what you condition with, you get a different set of answers. Right, so going back to the question, how do we compete as individuals? So I think this is a very simple depiction on how we work with AI. Right, you as a human, you ask a question to a generative AI, the generative AI will give you an answer. So if you want to be good at using AI, you have to have the ability to ask good questions. You have to have the ability to identify good answers. Because if you do not have the ability to identify good answers, you would simply take whatever answer you get from generative AI and assume that it's true, which is often not the case. Right, because we all know about the problems with hallucinations with generative AI. So you have to have the ability to do these two things. So how do you gain the ability to do these two things? Ask good questions, identify good answers. It goes back to you would have to have a purpose, a vision. Because then you know what you want to do with the AI. Right, and then in order to ask good questions and identify good answers, you need critical thinking skills and you need domain knowledge. Research has shown that if the better you are in a particular topic, the better answer you can get out of generative AI. If you're an expert in marketing, you probably will get a more specific, better answer in marketing than a person who has no marketing knowledge. Right, so domain knowledge is also very, very important. And then finally, prompt engineering. I write prompt engineering because prompt engineering is simply the way you communicate with generative AI. So the way you write your questions in ChatGPT as prompts would have an effect on what the answers that you get out of generative AI. Right? So these three things, I think, are very, very important as individuals. And at the same time, you need to understand the limitations and capabilities of AI. You need to have the curiosity to constantly update your knowledge because AI quickly evolves. All right. So then, what about business entity? What about business entity? Before going to how we compete in business, I think we have to understand the three levers that are how do I call it? Controlling or pushing AI. They are data, computing power, and algorithms. Now we have the rise. Now we have the internet. We have smart devices, which we did not have many years ago. Many years ago, we did not have the data. Now we have the data because of internet, because of smart devices. Many years ago, we did not have the computing power, but computers have advanced so exponentially due to the Moore's law, and also with the GPU technology, we can now do parallel computing, which means you can do multiple simultaneous calculations as opposed to calculating one at a time. And this parallel computing speed up the machine training process by a lot, right? And then also with cloud computing, you don't have to own expensive infrastructure. You can do everything in the cloud. And algorithms. In the past, in the 50s, in the 80s, the algorithms were very primitive. It couldn't do a lot of advanced things that we are doing nowadays. Previously, we had the perceptron, which was very, very simple. But now with deep learning, which is an evolution of perceptron, now you can do so many complicated things. And we have reinforcement learning, we have the transformer architecture, which is underpinning the LLM models that we have right now. And because of all these three levers, data, computing powers, and algorithms coming together, finally we have the search in modern AI. And with this search, it comes with more commercial success, with more expanding applications of AI, and that led to even more investments back to developing more data, producing more computing power, and developing new types of algorithms. So there is a vicious cycle, a positive feedback loop that is going right now. So if you look at these three things, my advice to compete as a business entity would be focus on data. Focus on data. Why? Because out of the three levers, data is the one that you can control the most directly. Computing power, if you have enough money, you can get more computing power. Algorithms, unless you have the ability to attract the most brilliant AI researchers in the world, it's very difficult to compete using algorithms. Right, so the most controllable levers of AI is data. So be sure that you collect and manage proprietary data and use it to improve data. You can use it through RAG, retrieval augmented generation, or we often talk about generative AI, but we don't talk about predictive AI enough. You can also use data to do predictions. And the second thing is that introduce AI into your value chain. When I ask people how they are using AI, 80% of the time, I will get individual users. Like using AI to generate ideas, to write emails, to do translations for individual users. But the power of AI comes when you develop solutions that everyone can use. So use AI not as a personal tool, but develop AI solutions that everyone else can use. So build AI applications that integrate into workflows across your organizations. You can use it for improving internal operations. You can use it to create customer-facing applications or chatbots, like, customer service chatbots that your customers can actually use. All right, so create scalable AI applications. Now, one more thing that I feel that we don't discuss enough is vibe programming. Vibe programming is a word to say, programming using human natural language. Programming using human language. In the past, if I were to create a game, a sword fighting game like this, I would have to spend like what? Days, weeks, or even months to create. But now, I can create this game in a matter of minutes. I just give this drawing to, I use GAiMERi, for example. I just give this image to GAiMERi, and I said, make a sword fighting game based on the attached sketch, and I get a game. Previously, it would have taken me weeks, months to create, but now it only took me, what, 10 minutes to make this game. Now, in business, we use a lot of applications, right? When we have a problem, and if we want to get computers to solve these problems for us, we create applications. In the past, applications could only be created by professional programmers, computer engineers, and you have to spend a lot of money to do that. But nowadays, anyone would be able to create applications by yourself by giving instructions like this. So I think this has a lot of potential that we don't talk enough about. All right, so the message for you is leverage AI for business value today because AI is going to stay, but at the same time, remember the Amara's law. So be careful to overspend, to overinvest in AI. And at the same time, we have to think about the long-term impact. So build strong data and learn the foundations and talent foundations. Develop talents to capture its bigger long-term impact. All right, then very quickly on next frontier of AI. I've been asked a lot, so what is the next frontier of AI? Now, I would like to quote from the godfathers and godmother of modern AI. Two different frontiers. The technical frontier. Well, Yang LeCun and Fei Li, they advocated AI beyond text and images. They said that we need to understand the world. We need to create world models. We need to understand spatial intelligence. We need to create physical AI that can perceive and act in the real world. And only if we can have physical AI, we can have robotics. We can have truly automated, autonomous systems. And we can have robots that can really do manual human tasks like healthcare assistants. And then on the other hand, people like Joshua Bengio and Geoffrey Hinton, they advocated responsible development of AI and global governance because they have serious concerns about the misuse of AI and the alignment with human values. So they said that you need to have responsible development because governance will shape how businesses adopt AI safely and sustainably. All right, so with this, thank you. I would like to hand over to Chris for the next part of the presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Kelvin. And then let's welcome Chris to the stage. So Kelvin gave us kind of like a introduction and roundup into AI, and then Chris is gonna talk to us about how we are using AI here at Globis. All right.
Thank you, Kelvin. Okay, so I'm Chris, and I'm the product manager in Globis AI Research Institute. Then, so first, what is GAiMEri? This term, I also been very confused when I look at it at the first time. So GAiMEri is Globis AI Management Education Research Institute, And what we are developing is actually we're trying to develop the newest AI for educational purpose that integrates the database and the knowledge from GLOBIS and also from some of our corporate partners that especially on the HR and the organizational transformation knowledge. And then, of course, the digital technologies like AI and cognitive science. Then what we're doing is actually, for sure, we're accumulating data and trying to visualize, analyze it, and to evaluate with machine learning. And for AI optimized pedagogy, we're trying to enhance our existing education methods like case method, which everyone already been experiencing it, like read case, and then write pre-assignment, and then go to the classroom to have a great discussion with classmates and the lecturer. But we're thinking, when we're using case method, actually we're thinking to simulate ourselves as the protagonist in the case, and then to think about what if I were this guy in the case? How can I solve the dilemma? So we believe there's still a lot of possibility to integrate AI to make the simulation more deep and more like immersive. And the third one is toward internal operation. So we're building AI tools to improve the quality and efficiency. For example, like reading the reports or even creating new contents. So in our team, there are actually 3 types of members inside the team. The AI engineers who knows the best about the algorithm and the frontier technology. And important management education specialists like the faculty and someone also building the product. And the last one is system developer, because integrating those 2 types of knowledge, we still need the system developers to make it into a real application for everyone to be able to use. So I'd like to introduce our projects here. So there's 3 Gs. The first one, GLOBIS AI Learning, is right now being deployed on nano MBA programs with AI-generated feedbacks to the student when we doing the practice or exercises with the short cases. And the second one is a mobile-first learning tool that acts like a chatbot for students to practice and to do exercises with the AI. And the last one is a AI document evaluation system. So this tool is used for doing report grading, not only for MBA students, but also for GLOBIS other corporate training programs. So the first one, the AI learning system. So sorry, it's in Japanese, but actually this is a tool that first asks our user to read the cases, and then there will be pretty like the pre-assignment we're doing in the MBA program. The pre-assignment questions showed up, and when the user give their answers to the question, and the AI will generate the answers to them based on the knowledge base back inside the GLOBIS databases. And then the second one is the chatbot-like learning tool. So it's a combination between pre-set up scenarios and also incorporate the generative AI like LLMs inside it. So you would see sometimes when we started to learn something, it will show up the predefined questions here. And then when the user inputs their answers, then the AI will generate the feedbacks to them based on their answer and the database and the knowledge. And sometimes it will become like the traditional multi-selection questions for students to do practice, like some financial related subjects. And the purpose of building up the report system is to provide a more fair and a more fast tool that can help with our faculty members to give better feedbacks to our students. So there are 3 kinds of system. The first one is the grading system itself. And then the second one is survey analysis, like everyone who already taken the program should have the experience around answering the questionnaires. So that will be used for the analyzing to the questionnaire. And the last one is target to the corporate training programs. So every time when our corporate training finished, we will require the HR department members from the company to help us with a survey to see how their student really learned by participating the program. But actually, every time there were a lot of reports come here, and it's very hard for faculty to read them all in very short times. So that's the reason we developed this analysis tool. So the grading system is like this. The system will annotate the report content with the, on the right side is actually the criteria which should be looking at. So it will annotate it to say if the report really mentions some of the essential points that we really want to see by the analyzing. Then, yeah, again, here at the bottom is the feedbacks from the questionnaire, and we can still see the annotation to understand what kind of their feedbacks or even complaints about the whole program by annotating it with AI. And yeah, we had some press releases and public coverage, public recognition coverage, like we've been reported by Nikkei Shimbun, Nikkei articles, and we're also attending conferences related with AI or education here. And I'd like to introduce our projects that we are really excited to doing right now. The first one is case creation AI. So we all, like me, I also entered some MBA courses like you guys, and I know when reading the cases, it would be really nice if we can see the cases are more timely or even more diverse in the terms of industry. So we're building this, and we're really excited to see the cases provide to our student in near future can be more diverse. So the learning engagement could be much higher than ever before. And the second thing is the AI companion to improve our current learning process. In short, maybe we can imagine that a metaverse for case discussion. So that will be even AI agents, AI students, AI faculty to discuss with you in somewhere like metaverse or even just online. We still very value the human touch or the interaction between humans when we do learning. But what if some of the students, they have limitations on time, their schedule, or even someone very introversive like me? That will become some great tools for the kind of student to use. And then the last one is gamification. We really want to make the learning become more fun and to make it really addicted. So when we're trying to learn, it's really you're enjoying the journey with the game characters, or you're even doing racing with your classmates. So there is a lot of possibility when we talk about gamification, and we're really looking forward to build that kind of experience to our students in near future. So yeah, in short, GAiMEri is the place where innovation in learning meets the power of AI, shaping the business leaders of tomorrow for now. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris, for that introduction into GAiMEri and what we do here at Globis in terms of AI. And then let's set up the stage for a dialogue panel between Kelvin and Chris. And then also that will segue directly into our Q&A session. So if you're here later, you can just raise your hands directly, and then our speakers will call on you. If you're online, please, we encourage you to raise the Zoom hand, and then we'll unmute you, and you'll have a chance to ask your questions directly. It's also okay to ask in chat. So, okay, let's welcome the speakers back to the stage, and let's have the discussion. All right.
All right, so we're going to have a dialogue. So actually, I'll be the person asking Chris questions, because I think most of you would like to understand, to know what GAiMEri is doing, what Globis is doing with regards to AI. And I also plan to make this, probably not a one-way question and answer kind of thing. Chris can ask me any questions, and opening up to the floor as well. So if any questions that you want to have right in the middle, you can also raise your hands and clarify some of the things. So it's going to be a three-way kind of interaction that we're going to have. All right, so without further ado, my first question to Chris is, so you have been doing a lot of things with in GAiMEri. So how do you see the future of AI in education?
So yeah, so for the AI toward the education, actually, right now AI is doing a lot on the personalized learning experiences. And also, by having that kind of nature, it's more easier for people to experience more immersive experience during their learning journey. And then the last one is the entertainment. AI has a lot of ability, especially on generative AI. It's got a lot of possibility to generate different things within very short time. So it's very, it has a lot of potential to the entertainment generation.
All right, thank you. So the two keywords that I got from your answers are immersive. You want it to be immersive, and you want the educational content to be personalized, yes, and also entertaining as well, right? My follow-up question to that would be, then. Sorry, I probably didn't ask you these questions beforehand. This is just impromptu. But do you see the need of a school? Because if you're talking about personalization, because then everybody would be able to learn directly from ChatGPT, would it? Yeah? Yeah. So do we still need schools in the future?
I think the purpose of school will be changed. So right now, or traditionally, school is meant to teach the knowledge to a student. But if we look at the AI, actually AI already have the knowledge, but just record your presentation. I feel a school will be really important to teach students on how to think, especially how to learn, even how to learn with AI. And that is, right now, at least is not be really well equipped with AI right now.
Right, so school will still have its position in teaching people how to think, like critical thinking. Right, thank you. My next question to Chris is, so how should schools like Globis then prepare students to lead in the AI-driven kind of world?
Yeah, so for the first thing, especially for GLOBIS, since we really emphasize the ability of critical thinking, and that is actually one of the most important ability for people to diagnose the real issue and to ask the real problem, the right problem question to the AI. So that is one of the things I feel GLOBIS will be really important. And the second one is GLOBIS will be really good to help students to build up their mindset, because especially in the era of AI, it's really important for people to not stop learning and be curious anytime. So that will be one of the things I feel really important for GLOBIS.
Yeah, not stop learning and be curious, continuous learning. And also, I think, adding to that, I think GLOBIS is also a place to form connections between humans, right? We've been interacting with AI so much that I think we humans, we still need humans connections. So it is a place where communities, human communities are being formed. Right, thank you. So should people really worry about their work being taken over by AI? What do you think?
Well, my answer might be a little bit controversial, but eventually I think yes, the AI will take over everyone's job. But during that time, the whole economy situation will be changed. So everything will be changed at that time. And right now, we still have time, and I feel that it's not coming very near. So yeah, you don't have to worry about your job will be taken. In short, what we really need to do is to equip ourselves to have the ability to leverage the power of AI. So that's it, my answer.
So how do we leverage the power of AI? Do we go back to what we discussed, improving the skills? Okay, all right, yeah. So actually, I have a similar opinion to that. I think that depending on your job, AI is probably going to be more likely or less likely disrupting your job, replacing your job. But I don't think that we should compete directly with AI, because it simply makes no sense, right? AI is a completely different animal. It's so different from human beings, and even if we try to compete with AI, I don't think we can win, right? But I think the thing that will never change is that humans will have to compete with one another. Businesses will still have to compete with one another in the market. So the key is to think of how we win the competition among humans or among businesses. Right, and going back to, I think, what I presented, everybody's using AI now. So how do we win the competition? How do we build up the skills to be able to win the competition, to be able to be better than other human beings when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to using AI? And same goes for business as well. Right, okay. And why not let's take some questions from the floor? Wow, a lot of hands. Okay, can I go with the lady on the left? Should we use a different mic? Oh, because we want the online people to hear as well, so yeah. All right, we have the new mic for you.
Yes, okay. So thank you for your presentations. My name is Timea. I have two questions, one for Kelvin and one for Chris. So the first one is for Kelvin. I'm basically originally a linguist, so I'm not very sure if I'm getting the tech right. But as far as I understood it, regarding the history of the AI as we have it now, Transformer was quite a big technology, right? And it appeared in the Google Lab. So my question is, what happened commercially, and how did it end up in OpenAI? Because as far as I was, it OpenAI wasn't, and then it was built on the transformer technology. So I would really appreciate if you could explain this. Now, my next question to Chris, like you mentioned, like a lot of like very interesting ongoing projects. I'm wondering if you considered like leveraging a context window for the students, right? So everything that you presented seemed like, oh, from GLOBIS, we will like make very like special and particular like AI agents. But how about the context window that the student would have? I mean, is this something that you could basically make into a concept that a student will have a context window which basically GLOBIS will interact with, and that everything will feed and communicate with that context window? I'm not sure if this makes sense. Is this clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So these are my two questions. Thank you.
Thanks. My understanding, transformer came from the paper "Attention is All You Need," right? And yeah, it was developed by Google, and the paper was sort of out in public, so anybody would be able to use that technology to create something. My understanding is that Google was implementing that technology inside Google, but there were reservations on how disruptive the technology is because there were hallucinations, and you can use it to create, fake news and things like that. And in my understanding, people in Google, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just my understanding. My understanding was that Google was more careful in releasing that technology to the public, but OpenAI was more bold. So they released that technology to the public in the form of GPTs, and then GPT 2.2, 3, and then ChatGPT was, I think, essentially GPT 3.5. Right, they just released it to the public, and then Google came back and played catch up with GAiMEri. This is my understanding. Yeah, so the paper was already there. I think anyone would be able to do it. It's just that OpenAI were the company that is courageous enough to do it.
Thanks. May I clarify your question again? Sorry, I'm not so sure.
For example, even now when I use ChatGPT, right, or Gemini, I have a context window, right, like a number of tokens, within which like the AI will remember and refer to the context, right? Like, for example, even ChatGPT, if I'm like, I don't know, like maybe like 4 conversations away, it will like kind of like forget what happened like 4 hours ago, right? So we might have an issue. Gemini has quite like a large context window. So my question comes from, let's assume that we have a chat. I'm a GLOBIS student, right? And I'm interacting with a GLOBIS AI, right? So from my perspective, what I care about as a student is how well can I leverage that context window, and how much can I input in it? And if the context, I can bring that context window with me, and I can have like basically like different like disciplines or types of content go into it. And the moment that I interact with an AI chat, will the chat interact with my context window? Will I be able to bring my context window along in different like classes or disciplines or AI? So from my side, my perspective as a student, does it make sense?
Okay. Yes, so how we design the services right now is trying to, so in one program, let's say if in the MBA program itself, then the content window will be the same for the whole like even different subject and discipline. But if we're thinking about like different programs, then that might be like divided. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, talking about context windows. So for those of you who do not understand what context window is, it's basically the amount of tokens, or in other words, words, the AI can process in one single sort of transaction. So for example, if the context window is 4,000, so around 4,000 words, roughly, 4,000 words can be So you can write like 3,000 words, give AI 3,000 words, and AI will be able to produce 1,000 words as output. So if you give like 5,000 words or 6,000 words, the AI will not be able to process it. So that is context window. And context window has been increasing exponentially, with every generations of AI. From ChatGPT 3, I think it was just 4,000. And then now, I don't know, I think GAiMEri can handle like millions of words. So that in the past, you couldn't give AI a book and ask it to summarize it because there are just too many words in a book for AI to handle. The context window was just 4,000. But now with like millions, you can literally give AI a book and ask it to summarize the entire book for us. So with bigger context window, we can get AI to do more things, but at the same time, it comes from the expense of needing more computing power. So when it comes to education, I think she has a point that if the context window is so huge, we can simply get AI to remember everything that the students have learned and use everything to coach the students in their studies.
Yes, especially to let AI to understand the student more by how they interact with the AI. So during the program, when the time go through, the AI will even much more understand the student itself. Then by that time, it will be able to give the feedbacks more personalized to the user as well.
Yeah. Right, thank you. All right, so I saw a lot of hands, but I forgot who said. Let's go with Kay first. Kay?
Hello, I'll continue from the question about the context window.
Wow,
regarding,
you guys are very technical.
No, not
Okay.
technical. Regarding the AI companion that we are developing, my question is, how is it going to be different from ChatGPT or GAiMEri right now? What specifically that developing that's going to be make it different from what we can already access? That's number one. Number two, you mentioned that we're going to have to develop ourselves in not like we have some time to develop ourselves with AI before it's too late, before it replaces us. In your opinion, how much time do we have until it's going to replace us all and make us retire in our 40s? And last question, you mentioned we have to compete with each other. In this regard, it makes us and others, those who win the competition and those who lost. What's going to happen to those who didn't win the competition? That's 3 questions.
Chris can answer the first question. Yeah.
Okay, so the biggest difference will come to 2 parts. The first part is actually it's more about prompt engineering, and when we say prompt engineering, actually is we try to leverage the knowledge from the faculty, like the teaching methodologies and how to interact with the user. So that's the first part, the prompt engineering. And the second part is actually, back to what Kelvin mentioned in his slides, is the data. So the data and the knowledge base from the whole GLOBIS ecosystem will be the second thing that very differ from the general generative AI like LLMs.
So we have very specific data on how we teach, how we facilitate discussions. And this data is not available in ChatGPT. So we can use this kind of data to help us improve our AI. Do you use post-training or RAG sort of?
So for knowledge-wise, usually we're using RAG, mainly using RAG, but we also have a pre-trained model.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So regarding the specificity of the data, how do we evaluate if more specific data or more general data is better Like, how do we know which one is better? Like, as right now we mentioned we're going to have some specific data from GLOBIS specific. Is it better to do that, or is it better to have a larger data from the whole world, from GAiMEri, from everyone? How do you know specific is better than general?
So the data itself, we're not saying it's better on the when we are looking at the knowledge itself. We're saying the data that we accumulated with the interaction between faculty and students, we can make the AI for GLOBIS more like GLOBIS. So it will be even more like really, when the user are interacting with the AI, they will feel more like interacting with someone from GLOBIS. So yeah, that's the difference.
All right, then going back to your second and third question, I think I can combine both questions together. You ask how much time we have until AI actually replaces us, and how do we compete with our fellow human beings, right? So I think the nature of competition is not going to change, right? So the winners are going to be the ones that would progress in the corporate ladder, become managers, become directors, become executives, and become CEOs. Whereas the ones who the others would probably stay where they are, and also those who win the competitions would get higher salary, better compensation and stuff like that. That is not going to change, I think. It's just that the way to compete has started to be to involve AI a lot more. So people wouldn't just be able to compete with business skills or with just soft skills. Understanding AI, understanding how to use AI, understanding how to create value out of AI is going to be an important part of that competition. So I think that is not going to change. That is your third question. So going back to your second question, so how much time do we have until AI replaces humans? I think, again, I don't think it's a matter of competing with the AI. If AI is going to come and replace a particular job, it's not going to be a person or even a group. It's going to be the entire job is going to get lost. Right, so the faster you are at switching into a different, in the past, we used to have people pulling bull carts or driving horses to carry people around, right? But these people, they don't really exist anymore, right? People drives. So the faster that these people can transit to driving a car, the faster they can do the job switch. So I don't think that there's a particular timeline. It's going to happen gradually, but the faster you are at identifying the next opportunity, I think the better position you have. Right? Yeah.
Kelvin, can we get to an online question?
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay? Okay,
Yeah.
so there's some actually online questions on chat. So I'll read one out. Let's see. This is from Julia. Says, thanks a lot. This is Julia from Full-Time 2023 batch. Totally agree with you, Sensei. We better think how to compete with other human fellows instead. To do so, I want to ask, these days we are overwhelmed by so many AI tools. Two questions. How to identify and select which one is good for you? What's your own personal criteria? And what 3 to 5 AI tools do you recommend others using at work or studying?
Well, that's a tough question because regarding competing AI tools, I would strongly recommend you to try different ones. Because after I've tried different AI tools, I'm using both Claude, GAiMEri, and ChatGPT at the same time. I do understand some minute differences. For example, the recent version of GAiMEri is is less agreeable to the comments that I give. It will tell me that I'm wrong, much more than what I get from ChatGPT. So I think it's a matter of trying to get the experience of trying different tools and understand what fits you, what do you think is the best for you. And at the same time, there are specific tools for each and every applications. For example, when it comes to image generation, you have another application for image generation. You can use DALL-E, which is now obviously combined with ChatGPT. And if you want to create music, you have different applications. So I think, yeah, it depends on what kind of application that you have. You would go for different tools. Right now in GLOBIS, we are using GAiMEri a lot because the reason we are using GAiMEri is because we as an enterprise customer, the data that we give to GAiMEri would not be used for training. It is part of our contract agreement, right? But if we use ChatGPT, unless we explicitly turn it off, there is a risk in which the data that we give to ChatGPT, it can be used. It can be put back to the database. So there are these subtle differences in different AI platforms that we have to be careful, and it goes back to understanding which one fits your business or you the most, right? Any other take on this?
Yeah, totally agree with you. So yeah, everyone has their own needs, and it's really important to figure out what you really want the AI to work with you. So it's not only looking at the function itself, but also looking at how the feedbacks and how it presents to the user will be really important.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Julia, for the question. Can I have probably Lyosuke? Sorry, what was the name? Yeah.
Thank you for a very insightful discussion. And my question is related to whether AI will replace humans. And these days, the number of workers in startups is declining. And I heard that in the US, some AI startups are run within 20 members. And my question is whether AI will make starting up a new business easier, or are there any challenges that entrepreneurs use AIs for starting up their businesses?
My background is software engineering. But if you ask me if you should study software engineering, I would think twice, because I think, well, Chara is smart. I think you can agree with me that that coding, that like what I presented, usually it took me like hours, weeks, months to code something, and now it can be easily done by AI, by anyone in a matter of minutes or hours. So I think part of computers engineers' jobs or programmers' jobs might get replaced by AI. I think this is one of the most important things. And but I have to be careful when I say that, because vibe programming, like what I presented just now, is very useful to create prototypes. You can create prototypes very, very easily. But if you try to use the same code, release the same code as a production application and give it to the customers, I think you have to be very, very careful. Because this code is generated by AI, and if you do not understand what is written in that code, it could be dangerous. What happened last month was, do you know Cursor? Cursor is the biggest platform for vibe programming in the world. And what happened was, last month, a plugin was actually a Trojan horse, a virus. Somebody, one of the users of, some users of Cursor, unknowingly installed the plugin in their code, and it became a virus, and millions, thousands, not millions, but thousands of dollars of Bitcoins were being stolen from some of these users' accounts. So again, understanding what is going on in your code is still very, very important, especially if you're going to use that code as a product, offer that as a service to your customers. If not, it could be very dangerous. So with that regards, I think computer engineers or programmers still have its place. But when it comes to creating quick prototypes, I think nowadays is so much easier to do in programming.
Yes, and I think at the time, the employee will be forced to learn very fast, and there will be very small spaces for junior employee from now on. So everyone will be forced to learn fast and faster to jump out from the circle of beginners.
Yeah, that could be true as well, right? I mean, with AI being able to program for you, why do you need junior programmers? You just need to have senior programmers overseeing the AI. You're doing the programming, right? Yeah, maybe, yeah. Thank you, and yep.
So, is it okay to take an online one first? Okay. So I know, Kelvin, you mentioned critical thinking is still going to be, but here's a good question. It's asking, maybe we can expand on that. So it's saying, good evening. How do you think AI will change the way we live in the next 5 to 10 years? And what skills should we develop now to stay relevant in an AI-driven future, in addition to critical thinking?
Stay curious. Yes, always stay curious and always questioning, because it's very important to the ability to judge what AI feeds human is very important in the near future. So stay curious and always questioning will be very important. I would not say it's an ability, but it's a mindset to keep in this era. Yeah, how about?
Yeah, I would just add on to say that the brand tagline of GLOBIS is Technovate times Gogorozashi equals visionary leaders. And there's a reason for us to say that, because when we draw a Venn diagram of Gogorozashi, which is what Gogorozashi means is personal mission. So we want our students to have a mission in their life, to leverage what they have learned in GLOBIS to do something for the society, to create an impact. So if we draw a Venn diagram of Gogorozashi, Technovate, and management skills, I think we need all these three to survive as a business leader. Because, nowadays, with AI and stuff like that, you need to know how to use AI. This is Technovate. You need to know how to leverage the power of AI. And to leverage the power of AI well, as I mentioned in my presentation, the better you have the knowledge of in a particular field, the better answers you can get out of AI. So having the knowledge is also very, very important. But the most important thing is probably, as a human, you have to have a purpose in life. What do you want to do? What kind of vision do you have? What purpose do you have? And with that vision and with that purpose you have, that will allow you to drive your businesses, ask the right questions to the AI, understanding how to use AI properly to drive your business. Right, so these three circles, we want our students to be able to be in the intersection of these three circles. Have the management skills, have Technovate skills, and also have Gogorozashi. All right, okay, this gentleman in front. Oh, that's in front of us.
Hey, just building on the HR sort of career theme, I think I asked some of the questions at the last seminar on this as well, but you mentioned about AI disrupting particularly junior level positions, and a probably easy to understand example is the legal profession. So coming after lawyers' jobs, particularly at the lower levels. At the moment, in the maybe short to medium term, we've got a good pipeline of senior lawyers, but that pipeline is going to run out soon, and if we're not bringing junior lawyers up, like we used to, then suddenly we're going to find we're not going to have senior lawyers either. How do you sort of envisage legal profession, accounting, lots of other professions, when they start to run out of talent that have, cut their teeth at junior levels? How do you sort of see that working out? Or are we going to be in trouble? Or will AI eventually have become so advanced that it's gobbled up the senior roles as well?
I don't have experience, in legal professionalism, but going back to the example that I have for programmers, I think it works around the same way, and I truly agree with what Chris said. I think it forces people to get into the higher position, get into the position of being able to not just do programming, but be able to design the system architecture, be able to instruct what the AIs need to do. I think, probably the future of computer science education should be that way, to be able to use AI, instead of just doing programming.
Yeah, so it's more like treat AI as your extended brain.
Treat AI as a?
Extended brain.
Extended brain. So you use it as a co-worker. Yeah. All right, okay. Probably the gentleman at the back.
Thank you very much for your presentation and panel discussion. My name is Yuta. I graduated from Japanese MBA a few years ago. So in my understanding, I'm curious about the future education, and in my understanding, in the field of education, so AI will reduce differences on the teaching side, and for example, if AI grades reports, the evaluation will be more consistent. And on the other hand, for learners, as you mentioned, it will enable a more personalized experience. So I understood that on the teaching side, there will be greater standardization, and on the other hand, the learning side, there will be a greater diversity. Is my simple understanding correct? I would like to know your opinions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So yes, basically I feel the same way as you, especially for the teaching side. So the standardized part will be the evaluation part, but how we teach, how AI teach will still become more like personalized. So even, I will not say from all aspects from teaching side will be generalized, but yeah, some part of it will become that. Yes.
Thank you. Yep. All right, can we go to the next question? All right, probably from Dave.
Thank you again so much for the conversation. It's been really interesting. My question is simply on the big blocks to come, the big blocks in terms of AI, and also kind of a timeline as such. So with regards to things like physical AI, so you said before, Kelvin, in a previous conference, that we have kind of the brain, and that's what we're developing, I suppose, with chatbots as an example. But things that are to come, big blocks such as moving that brain into a robot or something of the like, or even you can imagine things like glasses where you can see answers from ChatGPT from answers people say to you. Those kind of ideas and inventions, do you have an idea on a timeline for those? Do you know when they would come, when they would kind of be developed and mass adopted as such? Thanks.
Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. I will go first. I don't have a timeline because I know that researchers are working on it. I mentioned Fei Fei Li. Fei Fei Li just, I think it was last month, she did a talk with Y Combinators, and she mentioned that, that she is trying to build the world model. She's trying to get, she thinks that the next frontier of AI is spatial intelligence, getting AI to understand the world around, understand space. Language is only one-dimensional. it is basically an autocomplete function, right? You only have one-dimensional, and it is purely generative. But the world is not purely generative. The world is there. It was there. It was, some say created by God, but the world is there. So, and it is more than one-dimensional. It's three-dimensional, and if you include time, it is four-dimensional. So it is much more difficult for AI to understand the world. So it is a very challenging problem to solve, but without solving that, we cannot create the robot, because the robot will not be able to know how to interact with the world, understand physics, understand, without that, it will not be able to do what humans are doing. And it's often known as the Moravec's paradox. Moravec's paradox is saying that, things that are difficult for humans, it's actually easy for AI. But things that are easy for humans, it's actually very difficult for AI to do. So this is what is happening right now, and we are trying to solve this paradox.
Yeah, and also plus the human-brain interface, human-computer interfaces is really like developing very fast, and actually that will become a solution for human to interact with AI later on, because right now the human can interact with AI only by like the text or what we are talking, but after that the transportation between human and AI will be in other dimension.
You're talking about Neuralink, something
yeah,
like that.
sorry.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
All right, we have time for one more quick question. One more question.
Okay, do you want it online or?
Let's
I think,
see.
yeah, we can have online
Okay,
participants.
maybe last online question here. Okay, so this is a good question here. So Aliyah says, this is risky of me asking this question, but do you think AI is harmful for students and learners?
I think AI itself will not destroy education. It's only about if people are using AI irresponsible. Like, for example, if teacher only rely on AI to create content, but not thinking anymore. Or if the students are always throwing their question to AI, but not thinking more with the answer generated by AI. At that time, it will be really harmful, but it's only about how we use AI.
Yeah, I totally agree. How we use AI, and I have to add on that because there's actually research, for example, from MIT, saying that the more we rely on AI, if we rely on AI too much, that would actually affect our critical thinking skills. Because we just use AI to write whatever that we want to write. So again, my point is that think of not competing with AI, but competing with other human beings. So if you keep on relying on AI and you stop developing your critical thinking skills, you're going to lose out, to other human beings in the future. So I think this is the message. Okay, my kids are still young, but if they start using AI for all the homeworks at school, this is what I would be very, very careful, because I want them to develop the human thinking skills. That is the skill for them to survive in the human world. If not, I think it would be very, very dangerous. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, a round of applause for Kelvin and Chris. And thank you so much for the great questions, both here on site and also online. So we will wrap up and close this session. If you're online, please don't log off yet. Just a few important announcements. And then we'll have the online networking afterwards too, if you're happy to stay around. Kelvin and Chris will be available for the online networking a little bit as well. All right, so we're gonna share a survey, QR code for our survey, and then there you can sign up for some other events that we have coming up. Like we have an alumni career talk where you can speak to our alumni who are working in various fields. We also have a critical thinking, very important skill, critical thinking trial class. Actually, this is with our dean, Satoshi Hirose. And then we also have 2 more seminars coming up. The left one here is about manga, global expansion, AI technology, also about AI. This one is online. And then the right one on universal lessons in finance will be hybrid, okay? Yeah, you can scan this, please scan this, and then, share your feedback to today's speakers. Kelvin and Chris will read your feedbacks, and we want to also continuously improve our events and maintain a high standard of quality. So please, yes, please scan this, and I'll give you a moment to fill out the survey. Okay, all right, I see some eyes looking up at me, so I'm gonna keep going. All right, so a little bit about our GLOBIS curriculum, what's kind of specialized here in our MBA program, Creation, Innovation, Technovate, Japan, Asia, Global, and Kokorozashi. So today, our seminar topic dove into Technovate, okay? And we want our students to be able to drive digital transformation. And a little bit about our MBA programs that we have to offer. We have a full-time MBA, 1-year MBA here in Tokyo, and we'll sponsor your visa should you apply and be accepted and decide to enroll. We also have our part-time and online MBA program, which is the one I graduated from. So you can take your classes online, or you can take them here in Tokyo at the Tokyo, our campus here in Tokyo as well. And we also have Nano MBA. All right, so Nano MBA actually uses the AI that Chris here is working on. All right, so for AI boosted evaluation. So Nano MBA is a 6-week course that confers 0.5 MBA credits towards your MBA degree later here at GLOBIS. It's a combination of video-based learning and live class. And we also have our pre-MBA, which is basically our MBA program course by course. So it's a 12-week course and confers 1.5 MBA credits. And you can already start to network with future MBA classmates in the pre-MBA program. All right, we have pre-MBA courses starting this October. Essentials of Marketing Strategy and Critical Thinking, 2 great courses to start your learnings with. We also have 2 Nano MBA courses coming up in October term as well. Strategic Thinking, Leadership, and Career Vision. All right, so that brings us to the end of our seminar.